Sorry, it's Whitcher. Let's go ahead and do my first Beatles video in this new home. And that's going to be for my made-up Beatles Yellow Album. So this video isn't my idea, and I'll basically explain to you how I got this idea to do the video, and explain why it wasn't my idea. So there's a YouTuber that I watch. He's also a subscriber to the channel as well, and his name is Rich Strickler. So if you're watching this, Rich, hello to you, and I've left his channel in the description below, where you can go ahead and find him and subscribe to him. He's a great YouTuber. He does loads of music videos, loads of videos to do with music. He talks about all sorts of musicians. He shows a lot of vinyls in his collection. He's also a big sports fan and a big fan of movies as well. And he does weekly or daily general chat live streams as well. So any of that sound interesting to you, definitely subscribe to him. And I left the first video I watched from him, my top 20 Simon Garfunkel songs. I left that video in the description below for you to watch as well, as that was the first video I watched from him. And ever since then, I've been a subscriber to him. So it wasn't his idea, but a friend of his, Aaron, they both did a video together, and that was what they think the Beatles Yellow Album should be. So there's been the Beatles Red Album and the Beatles Blue Album. They both were released in 1973, pretty much at the same time, and that was the best of the Beatles, really. So the Red Album was best of the Beatles from 1962 to 1966, and the Blue was 1967 to 1970. But there's only 28 songs on the Red Album and 26 on the Blue, or was it the other way around? But there's a lot of songs they missed out on. There's definitely a lot of songs that they should have put in the Blue and Red Album. So that's why I'm doing a Yellow Album, so more of those songs are included for the best ofs. And this one is going to be best of Beatles 1962 all the way to 1970. I think this video idea is just a brilliant idea, so shout out to you, Aaron. A brilliant idea you thought of here. And it was just such an enjoyable video that Rich and Aaron both did, and I'll leave that video in the description below as well. I'm also going to be including a bonus disc, just because there's so many songs I want to mention here. There's so many more I could have mentioned. Honestly, all the Beatles songs could have been on here, but obviously I can't choose all of them. But we'll get to it with what I think the song should be for side A, all the way to side F. This is going to go in the order that they were released on the albums, and the track listing order that they are on the albums. So we're going to start off with the first album, the Beatles' first album, called Please Please Me, in 1963. And the song I chose from it, well, I've chosen a couple of songs from it, but the first one is I Saw Her Standing There. I really don't get why that song was in the best of 1962 to 1966 Beatles, because it is just one of their better songs from that time period. It's definitely one of their more iconic ones. So I'm really surprised it wasn't even on there. And for a lot of people, that was the first Beatles song they heard, because that was the first song on Please Please Me. So I just really don't get why that one wasn't on here. So of course it has to be on here, and I think that's a brilliant way of starting the Beatles Yellow Album. By the way, I'm recording this video on Eric Clapton's birthday, so happy birthday to you, Eric Clapton. Currently he's 77 years old. And by the way, the bonus songs for this Yellow Album, I'm not going to go too in depth. I'm just literally going to talk about the songs, but for side A to side D, I'm going to be talking a bit more in depth about why I chose these particular songs. By the way, this isn't a playlist I made on Spotify. I've made in total 60 playlists on Spotify. I don't want to make any more because I think 60 is a brilliant number to end it on. So what I've done is the whole track listing for this album is in the description below. There is a lot to check out in the description below, but believe me, it's all worth it. So the second song I've gone with is the only Ringo song I've actually gone for the Yellow Album, and that is Boys. I think Boys is just a very early Beatles song, and it's Ringo's first song he did for on Please Please Me, and the only song he did on Please Please Me. And I think it's a pretty great song. I think nowadays it's more popular than it was back in 1963, and Ringo's got to have a song somewhere, so why doesn't it end up being Boys? So the third song I've gone with is P.S. I Love You. I really enjoy that one as well. And the last song I chose from Please Please Me is, of course, Twist and Shout. I've got no idea how that didn't make it in the Beatles Red Album either, as that's again just one of the more iconic songs, one of the better songs from the early 60s of the Beatles, and just it's just a really enjoyable song. That and I Saw Her Standing There are probably the two songs that shocked me the most that weren't in the Beatles Red or Blue album. The next song is, but then we're now moving on to With the Beatles. It's still on the first side of this made up album, and we're going to go with It Won't Be Long, which opens With the Beatles, and All I've Got to Do. I really enjoyed both those songs from With the Beatles. And now we're moving on to a single. This is from 1963, and that is This Boy. I really enjoyed that Beatles song. It's on the Beatles Past Masters release in the 80s. I just really enjoyed this song, and I just think it's a brilliant way of closing the first side. And now I'll move on to the second side of my made-up Beatles Yellow Album. Right, so we'll start off with Long Tall Sally, as this is one of Paul McCartney's favourite songs. It's a cover, of course, originally sung by Little Richard, and I think this was the first song that John and heard Paul McCartney play. I could be wrong there, but it's just a very important song to him, and I think it's just a brilliant Beatles song in general. So that's what I've got to start this side. But then I've got I Should Have Known Better from A Hard Day's Night. If I Fell from A Hard Day's Night. I'm quite surprised that If I Fell wasn't on the the Beatles Red album, as I just really enjoy that one. I really enjoy all of these. Then I've got Things We Said Today, and I'll be back to finish all the songs from A Hard Day's Night. Then we're going to go on to Beatles for Sale. So we've got I'll Follow the Sun, and we're going to end the second side with What You're Doing. So the second side, I think Long Tall Sally was released in 1964, so that means the first side was 1963, the second side was 1964 in that case. But that's it for the second side, and now I'll move on to the third side. So we'll begin it with She's a Woman, another Beatles single, The Night Before from Help, as well as I Need You from Help. So that's a George Harrison song, the first George Harrison song we're talking about here. I've also got You're Going to Lose That Girl, I've Just Seen Her Face, and that's it for Help. I'm really surprised that I've Just Seen Her Face isn't on there. I feel like maybe nowadays it's more popular than it used to be. Maybe it just wasn't that popular in the 60s and early 70s, but that's it for Help. But for Rubber Soul to end the third side on, I've got I'm Looking Through You, which again I'm surprised was on there, as I just absolutely love I'm Looking Through You, and ending with the George Harrison song. So two George Harrison songs on side C makes up for not being on side A and B, and that is If I Need Someone. I think I might have already mentioned that. But now I'll move on to side D, which opens with a George Harrison song. So another George Harrison song, here we go. And that is Taxman from Revolver. Pretty shocked that one's not in the Blue album. Here, There and Everywhere. This is probably the biggest shocker. Sorry, one about the Red album, not the Blue album at the moment. That's one of the biggest shockers of the Red album that was not even in there. Getting Better, which is from Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, is the next song I've gone with. Then we're going to move on to the White Album. So and we've got Dear Prudence, Blackbird. Blackbird wasn't even on the Blue album. Yes, we're now talking about the Blue album. I just can't believe it's not on there. It's got to be on there. It's one of Paul McCartney's most iconic songs. Then we've got Helter Skelter from the White Album. Why wasn't this on it? This is one of the first ever heavy metal songs, if not the first heavy metal song. I still think the first heavy metal song is by the Kings. You really got me. I think that one's the first heavy metal song, but this is one of the first, and it wasn't even in the Blue album, so it's definitely got to be in the Yellow album. And then we're closing this whole thing with Golden Slumbers, Carry the Weight in the End. And those might be cheating. It might count as three separate songs, but for the album we'll just have it so it's actually one just 5-minute song really, rather than it being individual songs. It's just a brilliant way of closing it with just the song at the end. And it's my favourite Beatles song, and it's at the moment my favourite song of all time, so it's definitely got to be there. But now we'll talk about the bonus disc, and we'll just quickly go through all these. But I only chose one song per album, and I only chose one single as well. I also realised that side C, I think, is 1965 Beatles. I think she's one was 1965, and then the second side 1966, all the way to 1969. So when I move on to side E, this is the bonus side. So beginning with for Please Please Me, I've got Do You Want to Know a Secret, and the George Harrison song, one of the first he sang. And then we've also got with the Beatles, I Want to Be Your Man, another Ringo song. For Beatles, for Hard Day's Night, got Tell Me Why. For Beatles Sale, I wasn't sure whether I should go with I'm a Loser or No Reply, but I went with No Reply. For Help, I went with It's Only Love. Rubber Soul, I went with Think for Yourself. As far as the singles concerned, I went with Rain, and that's what ends that's what ends side E. The reason why I did this bonus thing is just because I wanted to include as much songs as I could. And then side F, it starts with, so we've got a song from Revolver, Got to Get You Into My Life, and then for Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, When I'm 664. I'm surprised that those two, as they are some of the more iconic Beatles songs, I'm surprised they were in the Best of the Beatles. I'm surprised they were in the, Got to Get You Into My Life would be on the Red album, and then When I'm 64 would have been on the Blue album, if they would have been on those albums, but I'm going to pretend that they were in the Yellow album. And then we got for Magical Mystery Tour, this is the only song I mentioned from it so far, and that says Your Mother Should Know. And then for the White album, I've gone with Julia. For Yellow Submarine, we finally got some for that as well. It's All Too Much, the George Harrison song. And then we got for Abbey Road, Oh Darling. And then we're going to finish the whole thing with One After 909, which is really cool because it is one of their first Beatles songs they ever did. And they released it, that came out in 1970, so it's just a nice callback to the earlier days of the Beatles, really, the sort of just a brilliant way of bookending the whole album. But there were so many other songs I wanted to include. Anya Bird Can Sing from Revolver, She's Leaving Home from Sgt. Pepper's, I Want You She's So Heavy from Abbey Road, but I Want You She's So Heavy is a 7-minute song, so I don't think realistically it could fit in any of the sides, but just unfortunately they couldn't make it. But if I could, I would include all the Beatles songs, but unfortunately I couldn't do that. But I could have done maybe a Beatles Green album, or maybe a Beatles Orange album. I don't want to get too ahead of myself, so I just thought we'll just stick it to the Beatles Yellow album, and hopefully you would join my list, and you can let me know what yours would be for the Beatles Yellow album down below in the comment section below. So that's it for this video, and shout out to you again, Rich Strickler, his channel, and a couple of his videos are linked down in the description, as well as track listing for my made-up Beatles Yellow Submarine album. I enjoy making it. It definitely took a while to make this list. I wasn't originally going to make a video on it, and I thought on Mother's Day, this is when I actually finished the video. I think it was when I finished it. It might be Monday, and I just thought, I'm going to do a video on this. I think it's a brilliant idea to dedicate a whole YouTube video for. Another great way of mentioning Rich Strickler's channel, as I wanted to mention this channel for quite a while now. As he does watch a lot of my music videos as well. So that's really all I'm going to say here. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment. Is there any songs that you think I should have included? You can let me know in the comment section below. Any compliments on my list? I really want to see what your thoughts are. So if you've got any feedback on my list, just let me know all that in the comment section below. But that's all I've got to say here. Until next time, everyone, peace and love, and ciao.